World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Like a child, you wanna keep it, but your shiny eyes reveal the simple truth.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real. It's a place full of high speed, high intensity, and lap speeds that are really tough to match. This place is all about the big braking zones, those massive straights of DRS, and overtakes aplenty. This place is a playground for those who want to see entertaining racing time and time again. Welcome to Spielberg for the final round of your Thrustmaster World Pro Racing F19 short series. Here today, a championship which has already been decided back on the city streets of Monaco, which was won by Craig Baxter at a canter as he put a 55-second victory down on the board. But today, this is the coronation. This is whether he can have a perfect season, or maybe someone else can say, well, I could have had you with a little bit of good luck here for the final round. Either way said, there are some brilliant scraps up and down in this championship to keep in mind. The longer that this goes on, we are currently in practice at this moment in time for racing proceedings here today. I'm Jake Sperry, all alone here in the commentary box for this one today. Of course, Justin Mifsud on the cameras as per usual, with one Mr. Adrian Fagayo, your chief race director, and your chief race steward is George Muscat for this one today. Of course, we find ourselves at this magical Austrian circuit which rises and falls and has some of the biggest elevation changes that you'll ever find on a Formula One calendar. It's a very quick lap as well, only 63 seconds. You find yourself some drivers making their way around, but it is 63 seconds of pure fun and adrenaline and action. Almost every place on this circuit is an overtaking one. And that means that there are going to be a lot of chances here today. If drivers do not find themselves going forward, there is going to be a very big chance that a lot of others are going to be having a good run. Worth noting that some drivers aren't having the best of preparations for this one today. Luis Felipe Capamagian is one of them, currently 10th position in this practice at this point in time, a 106.3. He is racing not on his usual setup, so that is why he is going to be maybe a little bit down the order from where he needs to be. Sam Carpenter is currently the quickest man when it comes to this practice right now, and of course the gap between Capamagian and Carpenter is something worth keeping in mind at the moment, because it's only 14 points here in the championship, which is 3 positions. So someone like Capamagian is going to have to rely potentially on drivers like Carpenter, or maybe drivers a little bit further down the order, running into troubles so he can pick up all those points that are needed to maintain second in the championship. Lorenzo Capellini's moved up to 4th. He's on 68 points, and he could have something to say if something goes wrong for Carpenter and Capamagian here today. And of course, you've got a fantastic scrap going on for about 5th and 6th, and then the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th scraps going on. You've got Alessio Spinelli in 5th, Nick Bracci currently in 6th after his 3rd place finish last time out at Monaco. And then you've got Dean Vella on 38 points, Konrad Zarebiec on 35, not expected too much out of him. He is not here today as well, so his championship push over, but that will promote Matthew Galea up with Lorenzo Emili, both of whom will be wanting points. They have 1 point in between them at the moment, so we'll see if they find a few gains. 15 drivers here today looking to make that push, looking to make sure that it is all going to work for them. But at this point in time, you have to say that Craig Baxter has been the man on form, 4 straight race victories, and having a bit of a slide there at the very, very notorious turn at number 2 out on track. So ultimately, this is a very, very quick lap. We'll see just how this place is going to be tough, because all these corners are just made that little bit tougher with the way that these vehicles have to be set up. Downforce has to be very low around this place, mainly because of the fact that you've got some incredibly long straights that you need to take advantage of over the course of this race. And I think these drivers know better than quite a lot of drivers that they need to be at full pace as they head through. You can see the tyres squealing about like crazy through these fast right-handers to end the lap and get something going together, these laps will go quickly around this place. 1 minute 3, it's quicker than Monaco, which says all you need to know, but it's definitely a whole lot longer as a place. Worth noting that the top 3 currently is all the same team. Carpenter from Baxter, from Nick Bracci, currently in 3rd in practice right now. Alessio Spinelli finds himself in 4th. Flavio Zongoli currently in the 5th position right now. And in terms of some brilliant things that have been going on with this Thrustmaster short series that we have seen time and time again, it has been all about some brilliant racing action and, of course, some work that has been done by Thrustmaster, of course. And the prize, of course, for winning this championship is a Thrustmaster FFB Pro. And, of course, this event, sponsored by Thrustmaster, is supported by Gaming Malta, Melita, and Visit Malta after everything has calmed down. Of course, that Thrustmaster FFB Pro will be going Craig Baxter's way. He will have made a nice, decent result coming out of this championship. So that's going to be key. That's going to be crucial for how this is going to be run. But what you also have to look up right now is just how important every battle is going to be in this championship. We have seen how there has been a lot of overtaking around this place, and we've seen how qualifying has been so important. We'll see how that plays out. This track is notorious on track limits as well. You cannot really go out there and extend this place very much. You have to be very neat, very narrow, and respect the track limits around a place, which does punish you for being ever so slightly off the mark. So we'll see how that works out here, ladies and gentlemen, as we are live, of course, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook, and we implore you to like, to share, to subscribe, to follow, to do whatever it is. Join us, follow us, share us on social media platforms, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on wherever you can, to really showcase just how good World Pro Racing events are. Of course, FIA accredited stewards on all of these events. Make sure that you get yourself ready and available for watching great racing, joining in on great racing, as this has been absolutely sensational every single time we have got ourselves into action. But we are about 1 minute and 40 away from what is the start of qualifying here today. And of course, what we have seen time and time again is some brilliant work being put in by all of these drivers to get those times up there together. We've seen some really interesting battles, and we've also seen some really good events come up over the past year or so. So make sure that you get yourself in and involved, because there are some brilliant things coming up on the horizon here with World Pro Racing, and you will not want to miss it at all around this place. So just keep in mind that every driver is going to be now trying to pull together the final result of this championship. It's been 5 weeks long. A short championship means that you don't have long of a turnaround to really get the results working. And for some drivers, it hasn't. For other drivers, it definitely has around this one. Of course, this track needs no introduction. It's been on and off the Formula One calendar so many times. It's had many different iterations of name, from Red Bull Ring to A1 Ring to continuing to the Austria Ring, back on the old layout that it used to have, which was so much more fearsome, so much longer, so much more dangerous as a place. And there were even talks a couple of years ago about bringing the Austria Ring back as part of renovations and development around this place. But what this place certainly does do is bring some incredible racing. And how many times have you gone to Austria and seen just brilliant work done again? 2 times Max Verstappen has picked up a victory here. For example, in the last 2 years, you talk about, say, the likes of events that have happened, such as 2016 when Hamilton and Rosberg came together. I think it was 2016 at least, when Rosberg won his one and only maiden championship. But what you do see is that this track does offer really good overtaking opportunities, a lot of DRS zones, a lot of places where you're hitting that rev limiter and going out there for that overtake, and really a lot can be done on the strategy. It's also high tyre wear, surprisingly, around this place. You are going so quickly through these corners that the grip is really going to be hard to come by in certain stages of the tyre. But Of course, practice is all but done. So we move over to qualifying, and this crucial qualifying section is going to be all about how can you string a lap together around a place which actually does need a lot more in the setup than people think. This is a very hilly track. This is pretty much in the Austrian mountains. So what you are having to deal with is a lot of, well, can I get something working here? Can I get something working there? As the qualifying session starts and these drivers all look to push on and get their lap times going pretty quickly. This is going all about how well your car is balanced around this track, because even the smallest little wiggle here and the smallest little wiggle there, that's going to really be cause for concern for these drivers. This vehicle has been fragile over the course of the season in terms of the fact that a lot of drivers have been struggling to put the power down on exits and have been having spins here and there. That's exacerbated with the setups that they have to run today. They have to make sure that they have the perfect balance and they are in tune with their vehicles here for the 15 drivers looking to get themselves into racing action today. And they know that every single lap is going to be scrutinized to the nth degree here today as they look to try and really make sure everything works out for them. Of course, we do know that the championship is complete. We do know that these drivers now just want to get those bragging rights, and every lap becomes key at this point in time, because you can see this side by side heading down the front stretch is Sam Carpenter and Luis Felipe Capamagian to start their flying laps, which is not ideal. Both of them are going to try and work hard for it, but Capamagian's going to have to yield through turn number 1. So to Baxter then, who has been the yardstick, some would say, in this championship, has been absolutely fantastic. Lap after lap up into turn 2. It falls down the hill, then back up, and then you fall back down. It's like riding a roller coaster around this place, and it's a tough braking zone here at turn 3, where you go down the hill under the Rausch Bridge and into this fantastic right, which seemingly goes on forever and a day and a year and a month and an eternity as you now head into the next left, a long left, which really hurts the outside rights, and then another long left, which really does compound that as you then flick back right over towards the next stage of the lap. And then you've got two very fast right-handers which need commitment through this section that Baxter shows with aplomb as the DRS board goes flying. Final corner comes along for Craig Baxter, and over the line he will set at this point a 1:04.1 as his fastest time. A 1:05.4 was Dean Vella, who went quickest then just for the moment. Stoyan Barbakov back after many a round away. He is there 1.6 seconds off right now. Lorenzo Cappellini up there into what is third, but Nick Bracci moving up into second position there with a 1:04.3. That puts him 2/10 off of what he needs. Fred Borden up into fourth position right now on a 1:05.2. Daniele Spardi on a 1:05.2 as well, but ever so slightly slower. That puts him into fifth position. Eric Chandra moving up into seventh place overall. That will be very nice as the track and air temperatures are both at 29 degrees. Flavio Zongoli moving up there into third position now. All of a sudden, a great lap time by him, just 0.2 of a second off of pole position. Of course, not many places to get it wrong here around this track, not many places to lose that much time, so expect these times to be close. And there into the fence goes Flavio Zongoli, so he will definitely not be getting those times. And of course, because it's sim racing here, ladies and gentlemen, they've got a reset. They can get themselves back into the car. They can get themselves back out and going again. And crucially, all that virtual damage does not have to be accounted for at this point in time. So that's going to be something just to keep in mind as they all look to push on forward here and look for those times. Here's Eric Chandra again, looking to improve on a 1:05.5. And we have seen how the track has improved as time has gone on here with these laps. 4 drivers have yet to set times. One is Sam Carpenter, Alicia Spinelli, Luis Felipe Capamagian, and Martin Garrido as well has not set a lap time as of yet moving forward. So that's going to be crucial and key moving on here in this one. But they have 10 minutes plus then to get their lap in for qualifying right now. Currently, you've got like Fred Borden 6th, Daniele Spardi is in 7th, and Dean Vella is now in 8th place at the moment. So times are going to be crucial here as we will be seeing improvements coming through in the next few minutes as drivers look to gear up, get their big laps. But a hot track sometimes not exactly what is ideal, what is needed as they go on through. And there is Sam Carpenter. Baxter got quicker on a 103.8, but that won't matter. Sam Carpenter, 18 thousandths quicker on a 103.7. So that was good enough for Sam to pull himself up into that pole position. He's very much been sitting in the shadow all season long of Craig Baxter, who has just been magnificent here and has picked up 4 straight wins. But Sam Carpenter knows what's up. He knows he wants to finish this season with a race win, and he will want to get there as soon as possible. Zongoli does improve on his times. He stays, though, 4th. Bracci still in 3rd position overall. Capolini in 5th. Giuseppe Saracino up now into 6th position on a 104.7. He's making his way through the final corner. Gets very, very squirrely and wide through that section. I believe the lap does improve. It does to a 104.345. He gets himself onto the 2nd row after giving it the beans and a bit more than that as well. So good work then from Giuseppe Saracino up into that 4th place. 15 drivers, of course, we have said. Bottom of the times at the moment is Nathan Mifsud. Here right now, he's on a 105.9, which is 2.1 seconds off of the pole time at the moment in the RPM esports machine moving forward. So hopefully for him, there is a little something in that vehicle that he will be able to find. Martin Garrido does a 107 flat. That's 3.2 seconds off of pole position at this point in time. Mifsud over the line does not find an improvement on that go by. So he needs to find just a little bit more in terms of the way that that one's being run. Dean Vella currently in 10th position, having a strong showing of things. But you look at Lorenzo Capolini here in 6th position. He needs a good result. He's in that fight with Nick Bracci and co. in the championship. Needs some strong finishes here to this season. Alacia Spinelli behind as well. He's pretty much locked up 4th place, but he will have a feeling that maybe, just maybe, he could snatch something off of Capimaggian. Maybe even snatch something off of the likes of Sam Carpenter of Luck, or Lady Luck, so to speak, was on side at that point in time. Of course, a non-finish here in this race is worth 0 points. So if there is any non-finish, then that will be day and done. And to just talk about what happened at Monaco, there were 6 non-finishes. So there is that chance that a non-finish can happen, has happened, will happen, especially here in Austria. Very tough place, Austria, especially on the opening laps. It's a bottleneck up into turn number 1, which is always going to make life tough. Bracci has found improvement actually onto a 104.2, so that's going to make life just that little bit easier, really, in terms of the way that that one's gone on that lap. So we'll see that maybe it's going to be the case. Of course, strategy is always going to be on the cards here today. Of course, these vehicles do not have any fuel restrictions. They do not need to make a stop, but most often they have to make a stop, mainly because of the soft tires that these vehicles run. They are very, very greedy on tires and often have to make 1, sometimes 2 stops in these half-distance races. So they really do have to work hard on the tires to make sure that they themselves in play for the long haul in this race. So Carpenter leads, Bracci second, Baxter second, Bracci in 3rd. That's how qualifying looks at the moment. You got Saracino currently in 4th, Dongoli 5th, Capolini in 6th, Borden 7th, Barbakov in 8th, Dean Vella is 9th, and Daniele Spardi rounding out the top 10 here in this field. 2 drivers still yet to set times. One of them has. That was Capimaggian on a 105.5. Really struggling here today. And ultimately, it's going to be a damage limitation race for him. I am pretty sure about that. But also, at this point in time, you've got Baxter there, who just cannot find the improvement that he so badly needs at this moment to get himself up through the gears and get himself another place. But every place seemingly mattering right now here in this qualifying. The top 8 split by 9/10 of a second at this moment in time, and 9/10 that's needed with 5.5 minutes to go here in this qualifying session. Zongoli does not find improvements on his times right now, but let's take you then on board with a driver at this point in time in qualifying at this moment. Stoyan Barbakov in 9th place. Let's go on board. Torturous tyres through the final corner, and across the line goes Stoyan Barbakov and does not improve on his lap time. 104.966 is 1.4 seconds off the pole. Sam Carpenter has found improvement though on his time up at the top. He has gone to a 103.5, which is now a quarter of a second quicker than his teammate Craig Baxter with 4 minutes to go here in qualifying, and that is key. That is vital. These drivers know that qualifying has been a big bench setter for the way that the racing has gone, and Sam Carpenter has not had the luck off of the starts in this series so far, and that's why he's been behind Craig Baxter, who has done so well over the course of this season. Bracci with a little wiggle in 3rd position, moving himself through the right at turn 3 out on track. This is technically a 7-turn circuit here around this place, so all these drivers know they have got to be absolutely on it here today as they all look to try and find those improvements. Baxter has done, but not enough. So 103.7, he is almost 2/10 back of his teammate Sam Carpenter. So Baxter's got to find something here to get the clean sweep in this championship, or it may just go to his teammate Sam Carpenter to pick one up to really mess with Luis Felipe Capamagian, who is down there in 13th place. Alessio Spinelli, though, moves up to 4th, and suddenly there goes Zongoli up to 3rd. 104.3 for Spinelli, 104.2 for Zongoli. Good enough to jump Nick Bracci there, a 2.55 ahead of a 2.72, but they are miles apart from where they need to be here in qualifying. It is 7/10 of a second to Sam Carpenter, who has found even more improvement out on track, and that is going to hurt, really, in terms of what Craig Baxter's looking for right now. He needs times, and of course he will have that ability to reset and go once again if he feels like he's got it at the moment, but it seems just for the time being that Sam Carpenter has his number in the one-lap pace department here today. Final corner for Craig Baxter. He'll make a push to the line, and he does himself a no improvement. So he'll go again, and this will crucially mean that he will not be able to pull it into the lane, get tyres out, and go again in terms of his laps. So keep that in mind, as some of these drivers will not be in a position to really go out there and find those improvements here as they make the run to the line. Nathan Mistard's crashed it over the line, and that is still a 105.6 for him at the moment, and he's a full second almost ahead of Martin Garrido, and he's getting himself out and going once more. Behind Capamagian by 1/10 of a second here. Capamagian is 2 seconds off the pace here today. Really, really in trouble if he wants to hold on to second place in the championship. But you got the likes of Nick Bracci trying to get the final preparations here. 1.5 minutes to go. Here comes Craig Baxter. Final corner. How's the time look? Over the line. And it's fastest. 103.3. There's some clutch that was needed. He doesn't drive automatics. He's got the clutch. And now all of a sudden, pressure back onto teammate Sam Carpenter, who has been fastest in all of qualifying except now. And here is a big, big moment then in terms of the mettle and the character of Craig Baxter's teammate Sam Carpenter. Zongoli is there in 3rd, Bracci is 4th, Spinelli 5th, and then Saracino in 6th. Then you got Lorenzo Capellini in 7th, Borden is 8th, Bella is 9th, Stoyan Barbakov rounds out the top 10. Crucially, in terms of that little scrap, there is 6/10 between 3rd and 10th at the moment in qualifying. Here comes Sam Carpenter over the line, and he will go on for one big flyer as his final lap. They are allowed to finish their laps, but who is going to be last one over the line? It is going to be close for Dean Vella. He's got himself 15 seconds from here, so he should definitely make it over between now and the end, and he should be the last driver to keep an eye out on. Bracci, Spinelli, Saracino and Borden will not find improvements on their lap times, but Vella, with a couple of seconds to go, has that chance. Eyes on Baxter. He's over the line. I think he's just got over the line in time for one more run, so I think he's just made it. Sam Carpenter heading himself through the infield now. These two long left-handers, which really do feel like pain, and there is pain. He's gone too deep through the first left, and there is the lap. It's gone for Sam Carpenter. Baxter surely now has pole position under lock and key. Zongoli there does not improve on his times at the moment. He stays in third. Baxter pulls it off the circuit. Any last improvements for any last improvements here? Daniele Spardi stays 11th. The only two out there are Vella and Mifsud. Mifsud's lap is done. Only Dean Vella then can find an improvement out on this track. He needs 400s to get by Fred Borden up into 9th position. He's on a 104.7 and he's screaming through the final two corners. Very aggressive there on the inside curve. Over the line, he will come along, and he does himself an improvement by 200ths, not 4. So that's going to hurt. So Craig Baxter will be on pole position. Sam Carpenter will be second. Flavio Zongoli starting from third with Nick Bracci in fourth. Then you've got Spinelli and Saracino, Capellini and Barbakov. Borden and Vella make the top 10. Daniele Spardi, Eric Chandra, followed by Luis Felipe Capamadjan, Nathan Mifsud, and Martin Garrido. We're going to pay some bills, though, here at World Pro Racing. We'll be back with more after this. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Like a child, you wanna keep it, but your shiny eyes reveal the simple truth.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Thrustmaster World Pro Racing Short Series here on the World Pro Racing YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook pages. Make sure you like, you share, you subscribe for more great content that comes here on all of the platform spheres that you find yourself watching all of this content on. But crucially, we are only a few seconds away from the start of the gridding up process and the racing that will be going on here from this Spielberg circuit, which has proven to be the greatest place for overtakes in the modern world today. You will struggle to find a place that makes more use of overtaking than this one, and we will see how this is going to play a key factor into these races the longer that things do continue. I'm Jake Sperry here in the commentary box all alone for this one, but what will be key to keep an eye out on is how this final race will go. We've got a chance of history being made here of a clean sweep by Craig Baxter. You've got Sam Carpenter, who wants to try and secure second in the championship ahead of Luis Felipe Capamagian, who will be a driver hoping just to scrabble home with a few points and a result here today, and hoping that drivers come together up in the opening few corners of this race. Warm-up is all but over here in terms of the way this is going to be run, so we'll take you over to the grid pretty shortly here in terms of the way everyone stacked up in qualifying for those of you who are just joining us here over our very many platforms overall. So this is how it all looks then. So Craig Baxter will be on the front with Sam Carpenter second, Flavio Zongoli starting from third with Nick Bracci in fourth. Then it's Alessio Spinelli and Giuseppe Saracino. Lorenzo Capellini starting this one from seventh with Stoyan Barbakov in eighth place. Ninth is Fred Borden with Dean Vella in 10th. Then you've got Daniele Spardi in 11th. Eric Chandra alongside him on the 6th row with Luis Felipe Capamagian, Nathan Mifsud, and Martin Garrido making the 15 drivers here today. They will have one formation lap, and this race is a 45-lap affair today. It's going to be a fairly long one to finish off the proceedings. 45 laps, you'd probably feel like it's either going to be a 2 stops of 3 stints of 15, or you are going to be seeing a 1 stop with 2 stints of about 20 to 25 laps. That may be the maximum that we can expect these drivers to be looking for here today as they run the red wall tyres here overall. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we will be absolutely having some fantastic action going on right now, and we implore you to go and help and support as much as you can. Of course, there's so much great racing that goes on. You can come join on the World Pro Racing Discord and do so much. And of course, here with the racing that there is available, there is no place where you can get more organized racing on the rFactor sphere and even other spheres as well than what World Pro Racing has to offer here today. A big look, though, at all of these drivers heading themselves through the infield section. This is going to be a quick race in terms of lap times. It's going to be about 46, 47 minutes that we'll be looking at, towards 50 we'll be hoping for, but this is all going to have to rely on drivers having a very, very strong start to the race and really trying to push on. It seems like it's a case of 1 or 2 who can win this one on outright pace, but if things go south very, very quickly, it could be anybody's here today. But through the penultimate corners and into the final corner now, your leading drivers go. They will search for their grid stalls, which will be over towards the end of this front stretch, and they will line up and they will wait for their opportunity. There's Craig Baxter and his car, which has been so strong every single time that he has put himself in position. As backwards on the grid stall you go, Sam Carpenter. He gets himself lined up nicely as the final vehicles then will just put themselves onto the line and will make everybody wait. So thank you for joining us. It's the last round of the season. It is destiny against history. Here comes the light. Here they go. Baxter with a stormer here on the red walls, the orange wall tyres being used by quite a few. It's a horrible start there from Sam Carpenter. He's behind Zongoli now as they head through towards turn 2 now. This long run, Nick Bracci trying to get back by Spinelli here as they go on through. It seems like they're all clean through the start. One driver off in the background is Fred Borden, who's not had the best of things. On the brakes they go. No real dramas and contact. Spinelli pushing Bracci off though. Cappellini nearly ran into the side as they go through, but they are all very much clean as they went on by. Baxter's lead, 6/10 over Flavio Zongoli then on the opening lap. Anyone missing a front wing? Yes, Dean Vella is missing the front of his wing. He lost it at turn number 1. It seems like another vehicle lost his, and that was Martin Garrido. So repairs will have to be done very early on then in this race. Same for Capamagian, who is mowing the lawn through towards turn 4, out on track as there is a rear wing missing for Stoyan Barbakov. It all happened in the back. At the front, it was all nice and plain sailing. So all of a sudden, Craig Baxter now starting to walk towards his destiny. A lap score complete then here in this race as he hits the brakes into turn number 1. It's on 4th and 5th. Bracci and Spinelli at the moment. And then you've got Eric Chandra here and Nathan Mifsud in what is 8th and 9th at the moment on the road. Vela in, Garrido in, Borden in, Capamagian in, Barbakov in. 5 drivers having to make stops for front and rear wing changes. And that pretty much says all you need to know. It's going to be a race of the rest then for those who are in the backfield for this one going forward. Here comes the move then. Nathan Mifsud down the inside of Eric Chandra, but he's gone too deep. And thank you very much, I'll nick one, I will pearl one. As they go through, Zongoli has got the move lost on Carpenter. Bracci down the inside then of Alessio Spinelli. That's a position change that was needed for Nick Bracci. 1, 2, and 4. Dean Vella out of the race then overall, and we'll see exactly what has happened then to the number 14 machine. Was down on the lane, got himself going, but he's not done enough. The front wing went, and then all of a sudden, well, I'm running the entire lap again without a front wing because I've caught it on the car in front. That just proves to you, you've got to get out of pit lane first. And round goes Daniele Spardi in a Felipe Massa style circa 08 Silverstone there. So Daniele Spardi, the tyres heated up, and he will have to try and keep himself going there in 10th position. Here's Giuseppe Saracino, though, on the back of Cappellini, Spinelli, Nick Bracci at this point in time. These drivers making progress through. It's a case of red walls versus orange walls at this point in time as they hit the brakes into the right down the hill and hoping for some good runs as the fault was Dean Vella's at corner number 1, and he will get a points penalty after the race, after the retirement that he's had. So that is going to be a hurt for him in terms of his run in the championship. And talking about where he is overall in the championship, he was running in 7th place on a very good run of things. So he may drop actually behind Konrad Zarebiec if he's not too careful there. But for the time being, Craig Baxter holds a lead. It's 2.1 seconds here. At the front of this one, Sam Carpenter holding on to second. Flavio Zongoli is there in 3rd place at this moment in time. Some hard tyres are on for Eric Chandra. He's got the yellow walls on compared to the red walls that Nathan Mifsud is running. So Eric Chandra on an alternative strategy on the tyre that lasts a little bit longer. And then you look a little bit further down the order. You've got Martin Garrido and Luis Felipe Capamagian and Fred Borden, 11th, 12th and 13th here in this one, but Borden runs slightly wide through the right-hander, and that's not going to be very helpful as he looks to push on in terms of his charge, get a couple of positions back here in this race, which will be so very desperately needed for the longer haul that they have going on. Lap 5 about to be started then in this one by Craig Baxter at the moment, and he's already fast approaching those 3 who've had to come down in and make a stop. Sam Carpenter, for the time being, in second, dropped 4/10 over that last lap. Flavio Zongoli just a second behind at this moment, keeping himself well within range to pounce for this one. And as things stand, Sam Carpenter will be second in the championship with Luis Felipe Capamagian back in 12th place overall. Capamagian knows that a 12th place does not score very many points in this championship. I will tell you how many points 12th place scores you. It scores you 4 points only. So 4 points compared to the 30 points that you would get for second position. You don't need to be a mathematician to know that a gap of not very much at all, in retrospect, 14 points, is not going to be enough here for him at this point in time. Still got, though, Eric Chandra holding station at the moment with Nathan Mifsud here as they make their way through the left of turn number 5, 6 and in towards the final couple of corners out on track. You can see how Mifsud is able to close down that gap, but needs a little bit more than closing down a gap if he wants to get the position. He needs to find a way by. He's tried it every single time so far without any success. Fred Borden is out now. Suspension issues. He's run into troubles down at turn number 1. Heads himself on the brake into the right and does the back loop. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And he's got the worst tank slapper in the world. Slams it into the Armco. No way that the suspension's going to survive that one. Fred Borden is out of the race then, here on lap 6 of this event. So, shame for him, but that's sometimes the way they go. It's down to 13 then, here in this one. Mifsud looking for a late lunge contact there with Eric Chandra, pushes his way through, and the stewards may want to have a look at that as a push to pass, as a fair overtake. There is no redress of the position. Oh, yes, there is. That's a redress of the position. I'll try and make my move cleanly this time, as he will try and find his Redwall soft tyres past the medium tyres that Eric Chandra is running at this point in time. So, for the time being, Baxter's lead up to 3.3 seconds then at the front of this field, and looking like it is going to stay that way for a little while. Flavio Zongoli there in third. Nick Bracci in fourth. Alessio Spinelli is fifth. Lorenzo Cappellini is in sixth place, but cannot get himself close enough in this 3-car scrap. They are pulling away from Giuseppe Saracino, though. He's 1.6 seconds back then of this pack, and knows that he needs to try and move forward with anything that he possibly can. But there's Spinelli, there's Nick Bracci. They're having their own little scraps. And remember, Spinelli and Bracci are really close in the championship. There's just a solitary point in between them right now, and it's a case of whoever finishes ahead of the other wins, and Nick Bracci is winning that one at the moment. So no further action between Nathan Mifsud and Eric Chandra, of course, because of the redress that was served by Mifsud to Chandra, of course, giving the position back as Martin Garrido gets put a lap down by your race leader, Craig Baxter. The gap 2.9 seconds after having to deal with the traffic ever so slightly. So, still though, Luis Felipe Capamagian will not be too excited at the fact that he'll be a lap down here on lap 8 of this event, but you've still got Bracci, Spinelli, Cappellini going at it on the brakes up into turn number 2. Very, very good place to go and make the move. It's a very unique corner because you're charging down the hill, and then you can brake very late because of that uphill section. The gravity certainly helping you. Different from this one, you need to brake earlier into the right, so you can see Nick Bracci all over the rumble strip trying to get as much as possible. Mifsud has got the move done cleanly now over Eric Chandra, so that puts him up into 8th place at this point in time. Daniele Spardi on his own in 10th, with Capamagian in 11th, and Garrido now a lap down in 12th, with Stoyan Barbakov also a lap down in 13th place here in this one. So we'll keep that in mind. Strategy is going to be playing its hand in this one very soon, as lap traffic now for Zongoli. He needs to try and negotiate away by Garrido. Has a big wiggle, though, through turn 1, and that's going to open the door for Nick Bracci to start closing down the gaps with Spinelli and Cappellini in tow as well. So that's another thing. Drafting packs are key around this place. If you find yourself in that draft, it is very tough to lose it with the DRS that's available to you, and ultimately every driver wants to try and pull themselves away back in and pull themselves into a very strong place to go and make that overtake. So we'll see how that one works out. Zongoli works his way around the traffic, but now it's Nick Bracci's turn to find a way past Garrido. Oh, he went brave down the inside. That was well done through that section. You don't often make a send like that on the traffic, but that was worked well by Bracci. Alessio Spinelli would soon follow in the tracks, as would Cappellini through that section. So that was well worked by Nick Bracci. Needed to dispatch quickly and did so out on the road as Capamagian is put a lap down by Craig Baxter. At this point in time, the gap still 2.4 seconds at the front, which means that Carpenter is still very much within range here to strike if something goes wrong on the Craig Baxter pit stop. So we'll see how this one works as the longer it goes along. Might be a good run here for Alessio Spinelli right now here on the brakes into the right of turn 2. Not going to happen there, though. But Nick Bracci, he's there. He knows that he's there at the moment behind Alessio Spinelli. He's just got to be cautious here, but ultimately has caught Flavio Zongoli through the traffic. And now Zongoli will be looking behind at Nick Bracci, who's been very consistent, hoping for that 1-2-3 finish for the team, which has not been forthcoming so far this season. So ultimately, what can Nick Bracci do? He knows that maybe an extra position gives them a bit more leniency with Alessio Spinelli behind, but Spinelli wants to finish ahead. A bit of grass being kicked up actually there by Lorenzo Cappellini. He's using all of his road tax and just a little bit more. I think it's the right way to describe that at this point in time. You can see that all being kicked up, but Spinelli's got a fantastic run here up into turn 1, makes the move on the inside, but thinks better of it on the brakes, was not in a position. You've got to commit to turn 1. If you don't, you're going to lose time, and here comes Lorenzo Cappellini now, who's going to have all of that DRS, going to move to the right-hand side. He's going to have the inside line here up on the brakes, and well, it doesn't matter if you're teammates or not. Lorenzo Cappellini has got the move done. Remember, he's 4th in the championship and can't afford slip-ups here with just how close behind those two are. So Cappellini gets himself now as a little bit of a hindrance to his own teammate, Alessio Spinelli, in this one. Gives the chance for Bracci now to walk away to the tune of 1.1 seconds now and focus on Zongoli in 3rd. Still, though, that gap at the front, 2.5 seconds here between Baxter and Carpenter as they move on forward towards lap 11 completed in this race. So they're on lap 12 of 45, and we're starting to look at the 2-stop window opening in a couple of laps' time. A few drivers may be thinking about that being the right case. Of course, rFactor 2, the one shining light has been the tyre model on these vehicles. They are very realistic and they do so much good work with the tyres. So a big shout out to Studio 397 for the work that they do on the tyres on any vehicle that is official, and of course to everyone else who has worked alongside and has put in great works with the mods that are available for this, especially of course this World Pro Racing mod, which has been absolutely fantastic for the F19, as we do believe there may be a series a little bit in the future that might be worth having a little look at with these styles of vehicles. So keep that in mind as this continues on. The battle between 3rd and 7th on track right now is split by 4 seconds overall on the road. So do not give yourself accounts out. And of course, ASR are the builders of the WPR-F19 mod. So a big shout out to them for all the work that they've put in to make this vehicle absolutely sensational. Daniele Spardi is out. His suspension has gone. And in terms of how he has managed that, he has come down into the lane to get himself a stop. And ultimately, he has run himself amok as he has tried to stop the car. So he got himself in and he pulled it over. And the car said, yeah, nope, it's not going to work. The suspension is damaged far too much. So Daniele Spardi out from 10th place. That does promote Capamagian up inside the top 10. And this is crucial. With every retirement, Capamagian gains an extra place. And this is going to be something just to keep in mind. Remember, that gap is 14 points at the moment. It's 30 points at the moment for Sam Carpenter. And for 10th position overall, there are only 6 points available. Really, in order to try and cover this off, he needs to be in 4th place as Luis Felipe Capamagian, but that seems like a pipe dream at this moment in time, unless everybody runs themselves into troubles here today in this race. But keep this in mind, if Sam Carpenter runs into troubles, life gets easier for Capamagian. That much is true, but of course nobody around Sam Carpenter right now. 2nd in the championship is his for the taking. at the moment. Look at this behind Zongoli, though. Bracci there, Cappellini, Spinelli, and Saracino all in. And a little look there from Cappellini on the inside of Nick Bracci up turn 2. And now all of a sudden on the run to 3 with some traffic that won't be helping on the brakes. Not close enough just yet, but there will be chances here for Lorenzo Cappellini. He knows there will be chances. There's no point in just trying to go out there and going far too aggressive, far too early. Of course, there is still a long way to go. And Cappellini almost thought about the inside there of the left-hander. Slightly wider line being taken there by Nick Bracci through that section. He may just fall back into 5th place here. And now look towards Alessio Spinelli, but through the big right-hander. There you can see where that dirty air effect comes into play, and there out of the way goes Capimaggian. There goes 1, there goes 2, there goes 3, and there will go 4 as well, moving away on through. So that's going to be good. Oh, huge slide from Nick Bracci. That was very tentative going through there. Fantastic save. But has this opened the door to Cappellini now, heading up into turn number 2. He's got a good run here, but has he got a nose to the inside? He's going to go late. He's going to go deep. Has he got the move done? Oh, yes, he does, with a bit of contact on the exit there. And Nick Bracci, you felt for him there. He almost did everything right, but ultimately still loses the place. Alessio Spinelli now will be in 6th place thinking, all I've got to do is get by this person who has a 1-point margin on me. Alessio Spinelli has got to absolutely motor it at this point in time. Giuseppe Saracino is there in 7th. Nathan Mifsud now on his own a little bit in 8th. He's got 4 seconds now almost to Eric Chandra in 9th, who is the only driver on the yellow wall tyres out here today. So that's where the long haul is going to be. Look at this, though, from Nick Bracci, because Cappellini has got himself into the pit. Zongoli is in the pits. Cappellini, yes, is also in the pits. They're making their stops on lap 15. They're going for 2 15-lap stints, and then trying to go for it. And there you can see Cappellini having to do a little bit of slalom to find his box, and they can see out and away without too many issues. Flavio Zongoli with an incredibly quick pit stop there. And the engine's gone for Giuseppe Saracino. So Saracino is out. His engine has departed from him, and he has pulled it off down at the front stretch. The engine gave up the ghost after 15 laps, and that's a worrying sight then, as his race is over in this one. So now we are down to 12 runners here in this race. No, we are 11 runners here in this one. Barbakov will gain the positions over. So 4 retirements, 2 on the suspension. Dean Vella after knocking the front wing twice in the space of about a minute and a half, as Nick Bracci lines up to dive down into the pits on lap 16. Carpenter in on lap 16 as well. So he's going to try and go for the aggressive call then here today, make the strategy work, and off and away he goes with an incredibly quick stop overall. So no real worries about that one. Nick Bracci hits his marks up on the jacks, down on the jacks, and away he goes. It's that simple. And you can see now how close this is going to be. Nathan Mifsud has Flavio Zongoli for company here in towards turn number 1. Can't make the move, but Bracci's going to be on the power quickly. And there's not much you can do here, Flavio. You've been jumped, my friend, in the stops. The overcut has paid dividends as he now looks to get past Mifsud. Behind that, Cappellini and Eric Chandra are together now on the road as they go through. Chandra has nothing to do to fight that one. He has to lose the place overall, but Zongoli back up into 5th place then after that one. In comes your race leader, though. It is Craig Baxter going for perfection, as he wants the 5 out of 5 and really show what he is capable of. On the jacks, off the jacks, away he goes without too many dramas at all. And there you can see how close it's going to be here. That's Alessio Spinelli who's going to be coming out of the pits, who's yet to make a stop. And Alessio Spinelli will take the race lead. Capimaggian comes in for his 2nd stop of the day after having to make a stop on lap number 1. So Alessio Spinelli going for the 1-stop call here in this one. But he will find very quickly that Craig Baxter is on fresh tyres and will very quickly be diving down the inside. And very quickly, this will be over and done with. Here comes Craig Baxter down to the inside. I've said very quickly a lot because that's just how quickly it's gone. Alessio Spinelli trying to get it back on the exit, but you've got no traction. You've got no grip in your tyres. They are old, my friend. and you will not find any way to get through. Martin Garrido, by the way, is in on pit lane at this point in time, as was Nathan Mifsud, by the way, who has just come out a mile behind Eric Chandra, who will definitely be on the one stop here today with his strategy on the yellow-walled hard tyres. So you can see how all of these drivers have been putting in some good work as Luis Felipe Capamagian is now up to 9th with the Saracino engine blow-up, but still needs a bit more. Sam Carpenter now through on the inside into turn 1, gained a second in that stop because of coming in a lap earlier. So that's the key. 1 second a lap on fresh tyres. That's what's keeping Craig Baxter honest at this moment in time on lap 19 here out of 45 here in this race. We are so privileged to welcome you in if you are just joining us here on World Pro Racing. But what you can see right now is a very interesting championship picture. Sam Carpenter will be second in the championship if things stay like this. Capamagian needs to finish in 4th place right now, or hope that Sam Carpenter runs into troubles. Alessio Spinelli does need to pit, of course, but he's trying to go for the 1 stop today to counteract the 2 that are being done by Nick Bracci at this point in time, and that's going to be key here. Nick Bracci is trying to run a 2-stop to win this one in terms of his battle as one driver comes in. That's Martin Garrido again, who's going to dive down onto lane. I think he may have been caught speeding on the pit exit. That might be why he's back in so swiftly after making a stop. So Alessio Spinelli right now, he's in that scrap with Nick Bracci. This is one of the key ones here. There's only a point between them. It's whoever finishes higher has a win, unless they are fighting for the minor positions, and that means something very crucial. It would go to best results, which Nick Bracci has a 3rd place podium in this series. He got that at Monaco, compared to Capellini, compared to Spinelli, who has a 4th place finish at Monaco. That's the difference maker in terms of that one in this race. But do not count your chickens just yet. This race is far from over here, ladies and gentlemen. The championship may be for Craig Baxter, but he is walking towards perfection, but not quickly at all. Craig Baxter, if you have a look at him, is being reeled in by Sam Carpenter at this point in time. The gap across the line is 1.3 seconds, so time to get your swift boots going here, Craig. This is the closest you've been in a scrap for a very long time in this one. So he might just give his position for points, but I'd say that's a little bit foolish here. You know that Capamagian's a lap down. You don't have to worry about giving that position for points. So I don't think it's a points-giving thing for Sam Carpenter. I think Sam Carpenter is legitimately actually clawing that gap in and really making that challenge. You can see it's just hovering around 1.2 seconds. I think Craig Baxter has just struggled here to get those tyres working into a window where Sam Carpenter, who has been the fastest man pretty much in all the sessions that we've seen so far, barring qualifying, he might be the driver, keeping himself pretty much in the mix. Bracci's got 3 seconds, by the way, over Flavio Zongoli, who's also got 3 seconds over Lorenzo Capellini. Eric Chandra finds himself a few more seconds back. He's 11 seconds back, but yet to make a stop at this point in time. Nathan Mifsud is 10 seconds down the road, so will definitely go ahead. Same will be said for Alessio Spinelli, as Nick Bracci will definitely go ahead. But crucially, Spinelli is not going to be spending more time on that lane. And it is a surprisingly quick picked lane speed here in Spielberg, Austria, as this is going to be a very tough challenge here for Alessio Spinelli to try and pick up that result from Nick Bracci. I'll do what you don't, I think was the message that he would have got from his team, as Eric Chandra does dive down in onto the lane and make his stop then on lap 21 completed for him. On to lap 22 he will go, but ultimately now up he goes there and down he will come again. I think he's staying on the yellow wall tyres, and he is, so that's going to be key. So he'll get himself out and going once more, and he will find himself in 8th place without really too many worries about Capamagian, who is almost a whole lap behind him at this point in time, with Barbakov about half a lap back of that, and Martin Garrido about back of that. Alessio Spinelli, though, will come down in at the end of lap 22. The end of lap 23. End of lap 22, start of lap 23. There to come down and make his stop. And look at that, he's gearing to get himself out of the pits and going again. So gets himself going. You can see how far he falls back. He falls back behind Capellini, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be trying to gear this one up for a very, very strong result here. He's got to get himself going for the second half of this race. He has done half of a race really nicely on this strategy. Nick Bracci's got to use the tyre life now if he wants to pull forward. Gap at the front now. 1 second and a bit of chump change is the way that we can describe this. So 1.1 seconds now it goes up. So the chump change has now turned itself into an entire pound, so to speak. But for the time being, Sam Carpenter knows what he needs to do. He needs to just keep the pressure on Craig Baxter. We haven't seen mistakes from Baxter too often, but ultimately Baxter is just holding that in line at this point in time. And of course, there are some things which you look at and you go, well, team orders and this track hold a big, big place in its history. Of course, 2001 and 2002 with Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello. But ultimately, this is going to be a place to be made. There is no point for changing positions at this point in time. No reason to worry about Luis Felipe Capamagian, who is in 9th place at the moment. We'll say it until the sun comes home. There is no reason for these drivers to worry. They will race their own races, and of course no team orders there at the team. They will do what they feel is necessary as and when in the moment. They have 20 seconds, by the way, over the drivers in 3rd and 4th position right now, and there is 3 seconds, of course, between Bracci and Zongoli, and then Capellini, and 4 seconds back to Alessio Spinelli, who, of course, has to stay within that margin with Nick Bracci. He'll be gaining here because he's on the fresher tyres for the moment. But by the way that the pit stops have gone, my reckoning at this point in time is that he will have about 10 seconds here. So about 20 seconds lane to lane with the stop. So that's going to be crucial. If he can just stay within that 10-second bubble, he knows he's only got to hold off 10 seconds on the older tyres. So we'll see how that one pains in comparison as they move forward. This is lap 25 of 45. Just 21 laps remaining here in this race for Craig Baxter at the moment, who will be due a second stop due to how early he came down onto the lane. Only 2 drivers trying the 1-stop strategy. A lot going for the 2-stop today as they feel like that is the quickest route around this very, very hilly circuit at the moment. So we'll see how this one works. Of course, 4 retirements here for this one. Dean Vella was one of them, as was Fred Borden, Daniele Sparti, and Giuseppe Saracino have been your retirements, as Stoyan Barbakov has actually moved ahead of Martin Garrido right now and has himself inside the top 10 on this day at the moment. Eric Chandra has fallen a lap down now here in this race, so that's going to be something to keep in mind, that Eric Chandra is a lap down. There's only 7 drivers now who find themselves classified on the leading lap, and Nathan Mifsud is about 8 seconds away from being put under that 1 lap bell as well. So that is very much worth keeping in mind at this moment here for the time being. So we will see how this one all plays out in the long and the short of things right now. But what we can say is that there is still strategy to be had, and drivers are trying to put themselves in position. Look at Lorenzo Capellini, for example. He has been caught hand over fist by Alessio Spinelli, his own teammate, and of course the 2 teammates, or the 3 teammates, are 4th, 5th, 6th at the moment. Zongoli, Capellini and Spinelli on the brakes they go. Into the right they come along of turn number 3. A lot of rights and only a handful of left-hand corners, only 2 of them, and they are both here. Here's the first one as they head on through, and the second one will follow very, very quickly. So Alessio Spinelli right now will need to get through on Lorenzo Capellini, and there will be no flashing lights here in these Formula-style vehicles, but there will be a bit of a waving arms out of the cockpit. Please, I'm quicker. Let me through, please. I'm in a race against Nick Bracci for 3rd place, and that's maybe what the eyes are looking at right now. Maybe DRS available in towards turn number 1. Is he going to have to work for it? I think he is going to have to work for it, because he's not getting the result that he wants through turn 1. No team orders. No, you fight for that position. We're Italians. We fight for every position that we earn. So that's going to be something to keep in mind. The longer this goes on, Alessio Spinelli's not going to get it done at turn 2 either. And he'll look at turn 3 and he'll see, I'm not going to get that done there either. So that's going to be, okay, did I just go either? That's majestic for a sentence. But you still got Alessio Spinelli trying and not succeeding in terms of the way that he can get himself through. Sam Carpenter keeps that gap around 1.3 seconds at the moment here to Craig Baxter. Lap 27 has been scored complete. They're on lap 28 out of 45. They're starting to head to that second pit stop window, which will be around lap 30, lap 35. Maybe the place to try and make that stop to get things going. I think it's a little long to think that you can hold it on a one-stop call, but if Carpenter wants to be a brave driver, he may just decide to do that and throw the swerve in on Craig Baxter. They'll be in the same channel. They will know exactly what the other person's doing, and if Craig Baxter says, I'm coming in his Scottish accent, then he will say he's coming in, and Sam Carpenter, the Brit, or the Englishman, sorry, I would say, will be very much in a good battle. Spinelli, though, has got through. Finally, he's got through. And has he done this at turn 1 or turn 2? He looked at turn 1. He said, I'm going to be a brave boy at turn 1. And he was the bravest of boys as he made that move. So Alessio Spinelli up into 5th position then as he's got that one done. And crucially enough, he keeps himself within 10 seconds of Nick Bracci at the moment out on track. So still front 2, 1.5 seconds now between them. Baxter's starting to stretch his legs. There's Nick Bracci in 3rd, hoping that he gets the 1, 2, 3 for the team, but he knows that Alessio Spinelli is not going to come in again. So he's got to get it done on the track if he wants to win this one in terms of his fight for his position right now. You've got Zongoli there in 4th place and Lorenzo Capellini currently in 6th position overall. That's actually quite crucial to look at Lorenzo Capellini because he's got himself 24 points over Spinelli and he's got 22 points over Spinelli, 23 over Nick Bracci. And of course, with where he is at the moment in this race, in 6th place, Lorenzo Capellini, he's got to be a little bit cautious here. 6th was worth 10 points, 3rd is worth 25. So that's a 10-point swing. So something happens to one of the front 2 drivers, there could be a few dramas in the tail for Capellini's 4th place in the championship, but he's just making sure that he's in the right position. He's got 30 seconds there or thereabouts to Nathan Mifsud in 7th place overall, and he's about to be lapped by the leaders in just a moment's time, as actually you can see now just how much Sam Carpenter is dropping back here, because that gap's now up over 2 seconds here for Craig Baxter, who's just stretching his legs and saying, nope, I want a bit more of a comfortable margin here at the front of this one. But it does come down to 1.8 on that sector as Baxter starting to get close here to the back of Nathan Mifsud here. The dirty air effect, that turbulence in the air, just knocking on the door and saying like it is going to be a factor over the course of this one right now. So we'll keep an eye on this as they move on forward. Mifsud stays out for another lap here in this one as Sam Carpenter makes the brave call to dive down onto the lane. He's going for the undercut yet again. Remember, he was a lap earlier than Craig Baxter was. He's got that gap at 2 seconds, and we know that fresh tyres are about 1 second a lap that we are looking at overall. So with traffic as well to deal with here in the form of Nathan Mifsud, that has been dispatched of now by Craig Baxter. That might be key. Nick Bracci will come in for his final stop. He'll have 15 laps to try and chase down this driver in 5th place and will now move up to 4th. Alessio Spinelli here at this moment. So keep an eye on this. Alessio has really got to try and push on forward here and hold on with the tyres. He knows that he's got no stops remaining and cannot afford it. Bracci finally off and away he goes as Capellini dives down onto the lane from 6th place. Off and away he goes. No real dramas on that pit stop as they will head up the hill. It's a very tight pit exit, mind you, as you go on through. You don't want to mess it up. It's Armco inside, Armco outside, and if you find anything that goes wrong, it goes horribly wrong. In comes race leader, though, Craig Baxter, along with Luis Felipe Capamachan in 9th place then here at the end of lap 31. As he comes down in, he will look for his marker, and he will get himself up and down off the jacks pretty quickly. And where is Sam Carpenter? And the answer to that is breezing on the by. Did something happen to Baxter as he was coming down in onto the lane? Is there a front wing that's missing? Oh, there is not, but that's a horribly long stop. And there you can see a missing rear wing there for, I believe, that is Nathan Mifsud. So what has happened? You got Garrido, who's out there on track, who's going absolutely nowhere without a rear wing. Has something massive happened here that we haven't quite seen? And it might just be a huge pivot in the way that this race has gone. So you've got Mifsud, no rear wing. You've got Garrido, no rear wing. And all of a sudden, you've got Craig Baxter a mile behind Sam Carpenter out on the road. So now all of a sudden, this race has got interesting. 17 seconds Sam Carpenter has now over Craig Baxter. We'll have to see what's happened about that one just a little bit. And, Nathan Mifsud was clearly not happy with Garrido over that incident that went on. I think Baxter got a little bit caught up in all of that as well. To lose 17 seconds, he had to have had a change of a front wing here or there. So, Alessio Spinelli right now in third. Nick Bracci currently in fourth. Will need to chase this down and get by Stoyan Barbakov without really too many dramas here in this one. So we'll get a look at the stewards, who will definitely be having a look and seeing exactly what has happened. And Baxter is in again. So Craig Baxter, oh dear me. Has he been caught there with a drive-through as he's just gone straight through the pits and back out again? So that's interesting. As he goes through, he drops back to fourth, and that will actually give an extra place then to Nick Bracci up into third place. So that's interesting there going through. So Craig Baxter, I think, may have been caught speeding out of the pits there to have to come down in and drive straight through it once again. Dongoli goes for a slide down there as well. He was in fifth place, mind you, at the time, and still is. But a big slide there. That won't be helping. Capolini 6 seconds back here at the moment. So Craig Baxter backwards now into fourth place. So it may not even be a podium on his procession call. And what we thought would be perfection at the moment is not, unless someone runs into Sam Carpenter at a point in time. So that's going to be a little bit worrying here for the end of this race. We're down to 11 runners here in your Thrustmaster World Pro Racing short series right now. Nick Bracci on the charge, remember, trying to stay with Alessio Spinelli and getting in those times. And what is crucial is to see what that gap looks like. It's been closed down to under 10 seconds, 9.8. Garrido gets to drive through penalty then for his incident with one Mr. Nathan Mifsud. And that's going to be so key to have a look at here in this one. Bracci under pressure through. Oh, contact between the teammates there. That's not going to help Bracci's cause. Craig Baxter's got through, and he's not made it look very clean, I think, in that scenario there. A bit of contact between them up through that section. I think there was no harm, no foul. And he actually redresses the position back to his teammate. How very nice of him through that section. All of this fighting is bringing Flavio Zongoli back in, and Bracci's charge to get to Spinelli in second place is not going to look very good at this point in time, because Spinelli is just running his own race right now. He doesn't really have to be worried too much if Bracci and Baxter fighting it together. And in fact, Martin Garrido is now out of this race with suspension damage. So we'll see how this one worked. He would have got the penalty call and had that signed, and oh no, that's a horrible way to end the race. Is he just taking? Oh, he's taken out a race leader as well. I'm sorry, that sucks, and there's no place for that in sim racing. I'm sorry, I'm absolutely appalled by the actions that I've just seen. So Sam Carpenter's been robbed of a race victory, ladies and gentlemen, by Martin Garrido's selfishness. But on top of that, though, it now means that Alessio Spinelli leads this race outright. Bracci's in second, and Craig Baxter is in third. And I think Sam Carpenter has every right to be very aggrieved by that. And I don't think we're going to see Martin Garrido around a World Pro Racing event any time in the foreseeable future. But still, second, third, fourth, still going on out there, and Nick Bracci is there with Craig Baxter at the moment. Flavio Zongoli is there in fourth, trying to get himself in the mix, and now Lorenzo Capolini has jumped up into fifth. So all of a sudden, it's all safe for you, Luis Felipe Capamagian. You've got second in the championship after a little bit of unfortunates, and I hate to be the one who was saying like it could happen, but it did. And that was the worrying part. It did happen. But still, though, Baxter there in third. He's still got a shot at a race victory here, mind you, if he can get the hurry-up message, because at this point in time, he's got himself, what now, 10 laps to go in this one. We're on lap 36. He dives down the inside of his teammate once again, gets nice and neat through that section, and ultimately trying to get the run through. Has he got the run through that he wants? Yes, he does. He's up into second now. Race victory's not a million miles away. 11 seconds, 10 laps. If anyone can do it, it's that man, Craig Baxter. Remember, Spinelli is on much older tyres at this point and going for a one-stop from now to the end of this race. So we'll see how that one will play out for Alessio, who could be on course to rewrite the history books and pull out a very, very memorable race win for him. He knows what he's done. He knows how well he's done it. And if he can get it done on the strategy, he'll be incredibly pleased with himself with the way that he is racing. That gap was 10.9 last sector. This sector, it has increased to 11.3 seconds. So Craig Baxter's not got enough here to go and chase this down. Alessio Spinelli is clear so long as he does not run into issues. We are down to 9 runners then in this race after 2 more retirements. And it's on here for 6th and 7th because Nathan Mifsud has found the yellow wall tyres of Eric Chandra here in this 1 lap down battle as Kapamajan's off. Kapamajan then off here into the wall. And where on earth has this gone wrong for him going through this section? So this was down at turn number 2 out on track. He had a failure of some kind, the way that he's missed that section, just like that. On the brakes, he would have gone, and it looks like the car has not worked, and he's horribly crabbing his way home and desperately wanting some repairs. So Kapamajan, he might know, he might not know where Sam Carpenter is, but he does know that he is guaranteed second place, unless Spinelli actually has anything to say about it at the moment. Worth noting that 35 points are on offer for a race win. In terms of where Alessio Spinelli is, he will definitely not catch that. So there is that guarantee. But of course, if he does retire, there is a chance that Lorenzo Capellini's 5th place might have something to say about it. Of course, Capellini finds himself just 26 points even behind at the moment. And of course, where Capellini is, he is not quite close enough. So this is a limp home at the moment from him right now. Gap though at the front down to 9.1 seconds here, and the lap's ticking away. Alessio Spinelli's going to come up on that lap traffic of Kapamajan. They're going to get by without any worries here as they move on through, but Alessio it starts to look a little bit sketchy right now as he makes his way through. This gap's closing here. That's 6/10 in that last sector by Craig Baxter. This race is not over and done with. 6 laps around this place. No, that's wrong. It's 7 laps around this place for Alessio Spinelli now. He's got to get it right. And now, Craig Baxter, 8.6 seconds the margin is at this moment in time. You got Nick Bracci there in 3rd position, being followed every stage of the way. Remember, Bracci needs to get ahead of Spinelli here. That's the key here. It's not got to be get up to Spinelli for Baxter. It's get up there for Bracci at this point. And then you got Zongoli there, who's just sat 1.3 seconds back, just being happily merry in the way that he's running this race and pulling himself back into this one with Capellini currently in 5th, 18 seconds off the race lead right now. Lead gap down to 7.8 seconds now. Alessio Spinelli has, but he knows that he's got to claw this one back in as he goes on through. So that is going to be really interesting as well. So we'll see how this one gets himself going forward. But ultimately, this is going to be a very key way to the end of this race. Alessio Spinelli over the line, ends lap 39, starts lap 40 of 45, 6 laps to go. The gap over the line, 7 seconds. It's got to be caught at 1.2 seconds a lap, you'd feel, from Craig Baxter at this point in time. He is just breaking Nick Bracci as well at a second behind. So now all of a sudden, Bracci's going to be looking at Flavio Zongoli, who of course is Spinelli's teammate. And Zongoli, if he can do anything, he's got to do one thing and one thing only. And that is get to the back of one Mr. Nick Bracci and put that pressure on for that position in the championship. right now. Eric Chandra is in 6th. Nathan Mifsud is now was in 6th, but is now back into 7th because actually there's a lap between them at the moment with Nathan Mifsud's incident. Sorry, I didn't even see that one. So Nathan Mifsud in 7th is a whole lap behind Eric Chandra now at the moment, but he's metaphorically made the overtake out on track. Gap 6.6 now for Craig Baxter. We're just going to be looking at a clock going through all the way down through the end of this race, and that clock is ticking, and there is Stoyan Barbakov in 8th place. No, that's not even Barbakov. That is Eric Chandra, who is going to move to the side even there and allow Baxter through. It's 5.9 seconds with 4 laps to go here in this one. So, no, sorry, with 5 laps to go. So this is close. This is going to come down to the last lap on if Spinelli can hold on to it, as right now it is worth mentioning that Martin Garrido, after that incident, is officially banned from all World Pro Racing events, and good, in my view. But now, Alicia Spinelli here is got to deal with everything. The gap now down to 5.4 out on the road, and all of a sudden, Bracci's gap back to Zongoli is 1.7 seconds here, and starting to pull away from it. Bracci knows, I don't think he's got enough to get to Alessio Spinelli. I think Craig Baxter has. I think he's leaving this one for a grandstand finish to see if he can get the Grand Slam. He wouldn't have deserved that Grand Slam, but ultimately, with the pace that's been there after the incident that he had, he's now trying to chase it down. It's 5 seconds now. 4 laps to go here at the circuit in Spielberg. And now Baxter's got the gap down further. 4.7 seconds now, the margin. Look at this. Bit of traffic as well. That's not going to help at all. That's Nathan Mifsud here, who's going to move to one side and say, thank you very much. There you go. You can have your position right now. Alessio Spinelli, 4.7 seconds in 4 laps. If it continues closing at the rate it does, it'll be a 1/10 of a second only when they get to the line. So Alessio Spinelli knows that if he gets within DRS, he's going to be closing even quicker than that. So Spinelli, gets a wiggle as well, coming out of turn 3. So that's not going to be helpful right now. Alessio Spinelli has got to work hard here now with Craig Baxter closing in. Nick Bracci also there, just waiting in the wings. Zongoli, I think, is going to resign his fate to 4th, and Cappellini, his fate to 5th place. But for the time being, Alessio Spinelli is driving to hold on then in this race. We're heading to lap 42 then of lap 45, and now, well, that's complete. So now this is lap 43, 3 laps to go. Gap as they cross the line is now down to 4.3 seconds now. So it's got to be some big work from Craig Baxter to close this in. He's got to hope for a mistake out of Spinelli. He can see Alessio Spinelli in front of him. He knows that he can see the target, the carrot dangling on the stick that he wants to try and get for 5 race victories out of 5. But Alessio on the old tyres, on the one stop, one of only 2 drivers who chose it. Eric Chandra was the other, mind you. This could be the genius that makes the race work. Alessio Spinelli charging on forward now, knows the gap, 4.1 seconds all of a sudden, and there will be 2 laps to go at the line. Craig Baxter desperately knows that his middle sector is where he gains the most time over these laps. He's got to get it within 1 second. He has to. But with 2 laps to go, 3.7 seconds back, he needs to close at 2 seconds a lap now if he wants to get this one to work. Maybe even 1.5 seconds a lap might get him there for Alessio Spinelli, who is now really on those old tyres, now having to nurse it home as much as he can. Gap 3.6, 2 laps to go. At this rate, he will hold on to not only jump Nick Bracci, but pick up the race win as the man who spoiled the clean sweep at the final race of the season. Alessio Spinelli on the brakes, up the hill, into the right he goes. And now he knows where Craig Baxter is. We'll see it in the mirrors. We'll see it on the relative. He's close. He's closing. But is he closing enough at this moment in time? Zongoli won't close quick enough to get to Nick Bracci. He's pulling away at this moment. But crucially, Baxter, that extra stop and those extra 2 stops, they have cost him here today. He's had to go on and get himself a 3-stop race to get this one moving forward. It's 3.2 seconds and the white flag fast approaching for Alessio Spinelli, who just has to keep it on the tarmac to win this race. 2.6 seconds now. The gap is, as he's gone through, it's been closed from 11 seconds as the vehicle parked out on the road and pretty much out. That is Luis Felipe Capamagian, who's probably waiting for this race to be over as quickly as possible. He's just pulled it over to the side of the circuit there. But Alessio Spinelli now, 2.5 seconds he's got, and he's got 1 lap to make sure that he doesn't do anything silly here on the brakes up the hill through turn number 2. Nice and neat as he puts the power down, gets himself going. The rears will be screaming out in agony through every single corner. Those fronts will be hoping that they can still turn in through every single corner as they go through. But Alessio Spinelli now has seen so much travesty happen to everyone around. Baxter's made mistakes. You've seen Sam Carpenter taken out unfairly from this race, but you see Alessio Spinelli right now. You see him doing an absolutely fantastic job. He's made the one-stop strategy work today, and he's only got 2 corners to go to make sure that the dream becomes a reality. The final 2 corners come along, and here it comes for Alessio Spinelli, who will get himself over the start-finish line and wins at Spielberg and stops the rot, with Craig Baxter only managing 2nd place. Nick Bracci will come home 3rd, with Flavio Zongoli in 4th place. Lorenzo Capellini will take 5th position overall. Eric Chandra will come home for 6th, with Nathan Mifs at 7th. 8th will be Stoyan Barbakov, and classified pretty much as a non-finish here in this one will be Luis Felipe Capamagian, who's just pulled over at the side of the road in 9th position overall, but it is still good enough for 2nd place in the championship. Sam Carpenter will get 10th place, non-finished, with Martin Garrido, the adjudged driver who has now been officially banned from all World Pro Racing events. Giuseppe Saracino, Daniele Spardi, Fred Borden and Dean Vella also not making it home over the line to the finish. But that was a race of sorts, I guess some would say. Some things that we didn't like, some things that we did like in terms of the way that things have been run today. But it does mean an end to the season, and one that was really fantastic to see everyone having a very good run of things here today. So ultimately, a lot of the drivers having a very, very good run today out there. But of course, there is a champion, and that one we did crown last time out. That was Craig Baxter, and a 2nd place would get it done. So getting it done is always what all these drivers will be looking at. But Alessio Spinelli, with every reason to be happy, doing donuts as he looks to get himself into the garage and get himself going through. Craig Baxter joins us right now as champion. Craig, let's talk about your teammate first and foremost. You never like to see it, but it did happen today, and it was one which you never want to see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say anything bad, but that was Sam's race. Sam won that race. The person who caused the accident, in my eyes, should never be allowed to race in this racing league again. I'll go out there and say that. It was completely deliberate, and it's just not something that should happen.
Well, I'll give you some good news for that, is that he has been banned. But Craig, talk us through your mid part of the race, because we completely missed exactly what happened to you. You came down in for your 2nd stop, and all of a sudden you're making an extra stop on top of that and lost 17 seconds in the stop.
Yeah, I just came into the pit lane a bit, just on the entry to the corner, just a bit too fast. Put the power down a bit too early, and hit the inside sort of wall on the entry to the pits, which lost my front wing. Like suspension damage, like all round. Luckily, I don't know how I didn't lose my rear wing, to be honest. And then trying to come into the pits with no front wing, my speed was too fast, so I couldn't stop, which gave me a drive-through penalty. So it was like a hit and then hit again. So it was kind of downhill from there. And then I do apologise to Nick. I did as well when we were racing, but the damage I had, I made a move on Nick that probably wasn't on, so I had to slow down and let him back pass as well before I re-overtook him. Well,
that was going to be a crucial fight, but you made the move back again, and you were trying to chase down Alessio lap after lap after lap. Did you just run out of tyre towards the end?
No, there's just not enough time. I mean, with the damage I had, I couldn't even beat my fastest lap of the race. It was pretty bad. I mean, any sort of high-speed corners, I was just like mega understeering, so there was no way I could really push and catch. The only way I think I could have turned that race around was if I didn't go for the move on Nick and sort of was patient a bit more, maybe got him on that same straight, and then I wouldn't have had to lift off and let him through, and then maybe I could have caught. But other than that, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I'm more upset at what happened to Sam, to be honest.
And quite a few people are actually just looking at everyone just having a talk about it. But before we let you go, Craig, shout out sponsors. You are the winner. You do get a Thrustmaster FFB Pro. Who do you need to thank?
Thank VD Sport, every one of my teammates, obviously the commentary team yourself, done a great job this season, and stream and broadcast and everyone involved, and obviously Thrustmaster for putting up the prize.
Well, there you go, Craig Baxter, then the champion overall. The race winner, though, Alessio Spinelli on a one-stop strategy. Alessio, you got to be happy with the fact that you got that race win, but in the circumstances, really not one that you could have ever predicted.
Of course. First of all, hello to everyone. Happy to be racing with these guys because, people from the moon like Craig and the other Sam, the mate Sam, are very uncatchable. It seems come from the moon, really. I'm happy to have opportunity to take this first position. I understood that is arrived for this adventure of Craig, of course. He was really more fast than me, faster. But it's unexpected, of course. I tried to do something different, taking care of a tire in the first part of the race, and I say myself, see how it will go. If I can have an opportunity, because I see that there are very big wear of the tire if we push. So nothing. I try to be more careful as possible, and this is the result.
Well, that is the racing, and it's always a very tough race, but let's just talk about just those final few laps, because it was a case of the laps were ticking down, you were losing a second a lap, and then all of a sudden the time just seemed to level out for you. You sort of hit a level on the tyres, and ultimately just able to cruise on home. How big is this race victory for you and the team?
But my mate was near me. We was really near, and sometimes I was a little slow, but is a really appreciated result in this nice and very beautiful site, World Pro Racing.
Well, before we let you go, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done for you, Alessio?
Oh, I want to thank all mate for the work done, for our team Blue Board Racing that was in our heart, and I thank you all the guys that are with us in our historical from 2808 we born, and thank all for be with us. Thank you.
Well, no worries at all there. A very, very good result then for Alessio Spinelli, who picks up the race victory. Third position overall today went to Nick Bracci. He stood by with me right now. Nick, you got to talk about that race. It seemed like it was going to be on for you. You had no real mistakes to speak about, and it seemed like everyone around you was running into a bit of trouble.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones. I just wasn't quick enough to get Alessio. He made the one-stop work. Well done to him. Yeah. It's unfortunate what happened to teammates. It happens.
It certainly does happen, and nobody does like to see it, and we've made sure that we've made our feelings known all about that. But Nick, those final few laps, because you knew that you needed to finish one position ahead of Alessio today to stay ahead of him in the championship. You had yourself a very good scrap with Craig going on earlier on. Did you feel like maybe if you were maybe a little bit more easier with Craig, you'd have had maybe just a little bit of a better time to get back up to Alessio, or did you feel like that wasn't going to be the case, that you weren't going to catch in the end anyway?
I think in the end it wouldn't have mattered. Yeah, perhaps it would cost us maybe a second or two, but yeah, I don't think it would have mattered in the long side. I just didn't do enough when the tyres were fresh. Didn't have enough speed. That was the major conundrum there.
Well, a very strong result then come the end. It's a podium. It's your second podium of the season. It's back-to-back as well. So you've probably got to be really happy about the way you finished off your season.
Yeah. Big improvement over Bahrain. Unfortunately, couldn't make China. Yeah, it should have been 3 on the trot, but
Breaks.
yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, well, that's all very good. Shout out to sponsors. Who gets it done for you, Nick?
Again, shout out to VD, my teammates, my mates watching. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. It's been good.
That's been very good indeed. Nick Bracci then, third place in the race. We also do have the 2 drivers who have come home second and third in the championship. Second went to Luis Felipe Capmaggian, who had a not the best race. Luis, it's safe to say you weren't in the right setup for this one today. We knew that you were struggling to get everything together, and it was a case of limitation. It was going to be third come the end in the championship, but ultimately something that we never like to see ultimately gives you second.
Hi. Yeah, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, I'm connected to the phone. Yes, I'm struggling with the car, with the tap, because a few days ago I sold off my entire rig to a friend because of the quarantine. So I connected a wheel and pedals from a friend that are very old, and I'm not used to it, so I couldn't make good laps. And yes, it was a terrible race for me. On the start, a big crash, a lot of aero damage. Then a backmarker, I ran into him because almost he spin, and all my car was wrecked, and I can do nothing about it.
Let's just talk through the final stages, because it seemed like for the final 6-7 laps or so, you were parked over on the right-hand side of the circuit there, coming out to the final corner. Was that just a case of there's not really much point to race the final stage of the race, or was that just a case of, having an issue here or there?
No, I really have an issue, and I wanted to start the engine to finish the race, but I tried all buttons, but I guess it doesn't work. I always like to finish crossing the finish line.
Well, ultimately, engine go kaput, then so to speak, but ultimately second place in the championship. You gave it a hard-fought run for 5 weeks, but before we let you go, any shout-out sponsor anyone you'd like to thank for your P2 overall in the championship?
Yes, let me thank the friends watching all the 5 seasons and RPM Esports for the confidence, and looking forward for the next championship.
Well, no worries at all. Luis Felipe Capmaggian in second, and by courtesy of the non-finish for Sam Carpenter, it's a leapfrog to third in the championship for Lorenzo Capellini. And what's going to be crucial about this is that we're going to get Adrian Fagaio in to translate for this one with Lorenzo. So, Lorenzo, firstly, it's nice to see you back again, and a race today which was very much just keeping the car steady.
Allora, una gara che ovviamente tutta la gara era di controllare la macchina, ovviamente, per andare come è andato oggi, dai. Lorenzo, ci sei?
Sì, ci sono. Sì, oggi ho avuto un sacco di con il consumo gomme, per cui ho solamente cercato di gestire la macchina e niente, poi subito in partenza nel giro di formazione mi hanno tamponato e avevo subito una sospensione dietro piegata, e poi il primo stilt andavo benino, sono riuscito a lottare un po' passando Alessio e Nick, se non sbaglio, e poi ho avuto un altro contatto, non ricordo con chi, mi sembra con Nick, e ho piegato anche l'altra sospensione posteriore, per cui avevo la macchina che durava un po' fatica a girare nelle curve. e un gran consumo di gomme, per cui ho fatto le 2 soste cercando di limitare i danni, ma non avevo il passo gara che avevo nelle prove, anche se già nelle prove sono sempre stato un po' in difficoltà su questa pista, anche rispetto ai miei compagni. E poi per gradire ho cominciato ad avere anche problemi al volante e mi si scalibrava i gradi di rotazione mentre ero in gara, per cui ogni tanto la macchina non girava, sono andato largo a qualche curva e ho dovuto resettare il force feedback con il tasto varie volte, quindi ho cercato solo di portare la macchina al traguardo e basta, cercare di fare più punti possibile. Tutto qua.
So, actually, he did the brief of the whole race today, which obviously he struggled a lot with tire wear. He had a small contact during formation, which obviously left him with one of the rear suspensions bent. The first stint was fine. He managed to obviously overtake a couple of drivers. Then he had another contact during the race, where he obviously ended up with the second rear suspension bent also, so actually resulting in also major tire wear for him at the rear. So he had to manage actually all the race, and then to add insult to injury also, he was having hardware problems with his steering wheel, where he had to reset his force feedback a couple of times during the race. So actually it was like managing to get the car to the finish.
If you told me that you were dealing with all of that, I'd have said driver of the day candidate, which I think that definitely has to be going down to after dealing with all of that. But third in the championship comes off of a level of very strong consistency over the course of the season, especially coming through the final couple of rounds, where it seems like whilst everyone else has run into issues, you've been very nice and stable on the track, dealing with however many issues you have been to get yourself through and dealing with all of it to get the result come the end.
Allora, di essere terzo nel campionato significa che ovviamente eri costante tutto il campionato, ovviamente di più nelle ultime gare. Allora, quello che forse eri un po' più forte su altri tracciati, forse tutto questo ti ha fatto finire al terzo nel campionato, la consistenza durante tutto il campionato.
Sì, ho cercato di fare il meglio possibile in tutte le gare, poi ci sono state piste dove mi sono trovato meglio, piste dove mi sono trovato un po' peggio come oggi. Su alcune piste mi sono allenato poco o niente, come Barcellona, infatti non ho fatto un buonissimo risultato per vari motivi. E niente, ho cercato sempre di fare il meglio possibile, di non entrare in situazioni difficili con contatti o incidenti e puntare sempre al miglior risultato possibile. Dai, non mi posso lamentare.
So actually, what he done, obviously enough, the consistency during all the championship, there were tracks who obviously favored him, some other tracks which obviously didn't favor him so much. He also tried to put himself, he had some lack of training also during some of the races, but always he tried to put himself in a good situation during the races and try to avoid incidents or some strange situations that can set him back, and obviously enough, he's happy obviously enough to finish third overall in this championship.
Before we let you go, Lorenzo, shout out sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank?
Allora, prima che vai, degli sponsor o qualcuno che vuoi ringraziare?
Come al solito ringrazio i miei compagni di squadra del team Blue Bolt Racing, sempre un piacere correre e allenarsi con loro, e niente, un saluto a tutti, complimenti agli organizzatori del campionato e chissà, magari ci vediamo al prossimo.
So actually he's saying thanks to his teammates and obviously thanks to the organizers of the championship, and hopefully maybe we'll see him for.
Well, no worries at all. Lorenzo Capellini, third overall in the championship. But that brings to a close your Thrustmaster World Pro Racing F19 short series here on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Facebook Live. If you haven't already, make sure you like, you share, you subscribe. There's some great content coming up in the not too distant future. You want to be around to see the updates and also the promotions that'll be coming up for that. But of course, on top of this, a massive thanks, of course, to Thrustmaster as the main title sponsors, supported, of course, by Melita Gaming Malta. And after the travesties that we have seen so far, make sure you visit Malta after everything has been said and done. But a massive thanks to all the drivers, barring one, who have been fantastic all season long that we have been going through. Of course, to our chief race director, Adrian Fagayo, and also chief translator as well here for this broadcast. On top of that, George Muscat, our chief race steward, and of course on the cameras, Justin Mifsud doing a brilliant job once again. I've been Jake Sperry, and here's a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, don't be a Martin Garrido, but go out there, race cleanly, race fairly, and you will see some great results. And like a bolt from the blue, it was Alicia Spinelli who came away and stopped the clean sweep. We'll see you very soon. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Like a child, you wanna keep it, but your shiny eyes reveal the simple truth.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.